Welcome to Stoic Soul Legacy. If you're ready to upgrade your mindset and unlock your best version, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this channel with someone who needs a little push today. Let's grow, let's rise, and let's stay motivated together. Ever notice how some people sabotage their own success without even realizing it? Not through bad luck, not through a lack of talent, but through the choices they make every single day. The words they speak, the habits they keep, the way they react to the world around them. They're not failures, they're simply stuck in a loop, caught in the comfort of their own ignorance. We all know that person, the one who talks just to be heard, who argues to win, who avoids responsibility like it's a disease. But here's the truth. You don't have to be that person. The Stoics teach us that real strength isn't about being louder or stronger. It's about control, silence, and mastery of the self. It's about owning your choices, not letting your words or actions control you. Today, we're going to explore the signs of a truly foolish person. Those things that, if left unchecked, can keep you from reaching your highest potential. But more importantly, we're going to show you how to avoid these traps and become someone who lives with purpose, clarity, and strength. Before we dive in, if you're looking to grow, to refine your mind, and to learn how to lead your life with intention, consider subscribing. This is your first step toward building the kind of discipline and wisdom that will change your life. 1. They speak more than they think. We've all encountered that person, the one who can't seem to stop talking, the one who fills every gap in conversation with their words, as if silence were some kind of threat. They speak not because they have something important to say, but because they're uncomfortable with quiet. It's almost as if they believe that talking non-stop will make them appear smarter, more insightful, or more valuable in a conversation. But here's the hard truth. The more they talk, the more they reveal their ignorance. The more they talk, the less they listen. The more they talk, the more they miss the subtle nuances of what's being said around them. Words are powerful tools, but when they are used carelessly, they don't serve us, they work against us. Talking too much isn't a sign of intelligence, it's a sign of insecurity. It's a desperate attempt to hold on to control, to feel validated, to avoid the discomfort of silence. The wise know when to speak and when to remain quiet. They understand that silence can often be more powerful than any well-placed word. They know that not everything needs to be explained, defended, or justified. In fact, there's a certain power in being able to stay quiet and let others talk. It's not about avoiding the conversation, it's about understanding that sometimes saying nothing says everything. When we speak less, we give ourselves the space to truly listen, to process, and to reflect. We stop reacting and start responding. And in those moments of pause, we find clarity, something the overtalker will never experience because they're too busy filling the space with noise. Think about the moments in your life when you've been in a heated conversation or argument, and the person just won't stop talking. They're rushing to defend their position, to sound smart, to get the last word. But in reality, they're revealing their weakness. They're not engaging with the conversation, they're defending their ego. On the other hand, when you remain calm, composed, and silent, it gives you the chance to observe, to understand, and to decide how you want to respond. That's where wisdom resides, in the spaces between words. It's easy to be swept away by the tide of someone else's noise, but the wise person stands firm, choosing silence when it serves them. Next time you find yourself in a conversation where you feel the urge to speak just to fill the silence, take a step back. Think before you speak. Ask yourself, what am I trying to prove here? In the silence, you'll find more strength than you could ever find in a never-ending stream of words. And over time, you'll notice something incredible. Your words will begin to carry more weight. People will listen when you speak, because they'll know you're not speaking just to be heard. You'll have cultivated the power of restraint, the strength of silence, and the wisdom that comes with both. So the next time you're in a conversation, try to speak less and listen more. You might just discover a depth of understanding you've never had before. 2. They get offended by truth. Truth is a powerful force. It doesn't hurt your body. It wounds something much deeper, your ego. The moment truth hits, it can shake the very foundation of who we think we are. But here's the thing, a truly foolish person can't handle the truth. They'll fight it, resist it, and twist it into something it's not. The moment you offer them honest feedback, they don't listen. They lash out. Their pride flares up, and instead of reflecting, they get defensive, angry, or dismissive. They'll argue about your tone, your motives, your right to speak, anything to avoid the real issue. It's as if their entire identity is built around being right, and when you challenge that, it feels like an attack on their very existence. The sad part is, these people don't realize that being able to take the truth, to sit with it, and to learn from it is actually a sign of strength. It's not about winning an argument. It's about embracing reality, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. The wise understand this. They know that truth isn't an enemy. It's a mirror reflecting our flaws, yes, but also showing us the way forward. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone corrects you and shows you your mistake, consider it a gift." This is the mindset that transforms us. When you allow yourself to be corrected, you're not being broken down, you're being built up. It's easy to react when someone challenges you, to fight back, to argue, and to defend your position at all costs. But that's the path of the fool. The foolish person never wants to be wrong. They live in a world of denial where their perspective is the only valid one. But the Stoics understood something fundamental about growth. You cannot grow without first admitting what you don't know. Admitting when you're wrong isn't a weakness, it's a doorway to wisdom. On the other hand, those who embrace truth, who welcome criticism and feedback, are the ones who grow. It's not about being right all the time, it's about being willing to change when you realize you've been wrong. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This speaks directly to how we handle the truth. Life will offer us uncomfortable truths constantly, but how we respond to them is what defines us. If we respond with defensiveness, we stay trapped in the same cycles. If we respond with humility and a willingness to learn, we begin to grow. So how can we learn to handle the truth better? It starts with humility. The humility to admit we don't have all the answers, the humility to listen, and the humility to accept that we may not be right in every situation. It also means accepting that being wrong doesn't make you less than others. It makes you human. Every time you admit your mistakes and learn from them, you gain strength. It's through these moments of vulnerability that you build the resilience necessary to keep moving forward. In today's world, it's easy to be tempted by pride, to want to be seen as flawless. Social media, in particular, often rewards the illusion of perfection. But the truth is, true strength comes from being able to face our flaws and still move forward. It's about doing the hard work of self-reflection and being brave enough to grow beyond what we once were. So the next time you're faced with a hard truth, don't shy away from it. Take it in, let it sink in, and remember that wisdom isn't found in never being wrong. It's found in knowing when to admit it, learn from it, and evolve. Because the foolish person can never grow. They will always be trapped in the need to be right. But the wise person understands that growth happens when you let go of that need and open yourself up to being wrong, being corrected, and being transformed by the truth. 3. They blame everyone but themselves. There's always a reason, always an excuse. A stupid person's favorite phrase is, "It's not my fault." They point fingers at everyone, parents, bosses, circumstances, or even the universe. It's like they've been handed a script, and their role is always that of the victim. It's easy, right? Blaming others takes the heat off you. It's simple to look outward and say, "This happened because of them," or "If they hadn't done this, I wouldn't have." But here's the problem. When you're always blaming, you're never taking control. You're never owning your actions. And as long as you're trapped in that mindset, you'll never grow, never move forward. The Stoics understood something essential about life. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Life will never be perfect, and people will disappoint you. Circumstances may not always be in your favor, but the one thing you always have control over is how you respond. The moment you start blaming others, you give away your power. You hand the reins of your life to someone else, and you lose the ability to change, to grow, to become better. It's not easy to accept responsibility, especially when things don't go as planned or when you feel like life is working against you. But the truth is, when you refuse to blame others, when you accept full responsibility, you gain freedom. You're no longer a victim of circumstances or other people's actions. You're the one in charge. Carl Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." This is the essence of personal freedom. It's in your hands. You get to choose how you respond. You get to decide how to move forward, regardless of what happens. When you stop blaming the world for your problems, you stop being at the mercy of the world. You take your power back, and that's how you grow. It's in the moments when you face your mistakes head-on, when you admit you were wrong, that you become better. Because owning your mistakes doesn't make you weak, it makes you stronger. It's the starting point for change. It's the foundation for real growth. When you acknowledge your role in what's happened, you stop being trapped in the cycle of blame. You stop waiting for someone else to fix it. Instead, you start fixing it yourself. This process isn't easy. It requires a level of self-awareness and humility that many people avoid. But the more you practice responsibility, the easier it becomes. The more you own your actions, the more empowered you feel. The more you realize that you are the key to your own success. Whether it's in relationships, at work, or in your personal life, taking responsibility is the game changer. When you stop blaming others, you open the door to endless possibilities for self-improvement. So, the next time you feel the urge to blame someone or something else, pause for a moment. Stop. Reflect. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I control? It may not always be easy, but when you embrace responsibility, you embrace the freedom that comes with it. You stop being a victim and start being the architect of your own life. Every time you take responsibility, no matter how difficult it feels, you move one step closer to the person you're meant to be. And that's where true growth begins. Take responsibility and you'll discover the power you've always had within you. 4. They refuse to listen or learn. A foolish person doesn't listen. They speak only to win. Every conversation feels like a battle to them, one where being right is more important than learning or understanding. They don't engage to exchange ideas or grow. They engage to defend themselves, to protect their ego, and to prove that their point of view is the only one that matters. They'll interrupt, argue, and even double down on their mistakes, rather than take a moment to absorb what the other person is saying. They treat every disagreement like a war, instead of a chance to discover something new. The real tragedy here is that they don't even realize how much they're holding themselves back. Each time they refuse to listen, each time they shut down another person's perspective, they close off an opportunity to grow. They miss out on learning, on understanding different viewpoints, and on developing the flexibility of thought that true wisdom requires. The idea that being right is everything locks them in a mental prison, making it impossible for them to move forward. Their thoughts become stagnant, and their growth stalls because they've chosen to protect their fragile sense of certainty rather than challenge it. Think about the last time you were in a conversation where you really listened. I mean truly listened, not just waiting for your turn to speak, but really absorbing what the other person was saying. It's a rare skill, but one that can make all the difference in how we understand the world around us. When was the last time you heard someone out completely, without interrupting, without waiting for your chance to tell them why they're wrong? That's the moment when real learning begins. It's easy to get caught up in the need to be right. Our egos want us to defend ourselves, to prove that we know better. But the truth is, we can't grow that way. When we focus solely on defending our position, we close ourselves off to the opportunity to learn. But when we choose to listen, when we stop speaking just to win, we open ourselves to new possibilities. We give ourselves the space to evolve, to refine our thoughts, and to challenge our own assumptions. And that ultimately is where true intelligence lies. The great irony is that those who are the most determined to be right often end up learning the least. They've created a world where their opinion is the only one that matters, and in doing so, they've trapped themselves in a small, narrow box. They think they have all the answers, but in reality, they have only one perspective, one that's incomplete and limited. Meanwhile, those who are willing to listen and learn, who are open to being corrected, grow. They expand their understanding of the world and deepen their wisdom. So, the next time you find yourself in a conversation where you feel the urge to be right, stop, take a moment, ask yourself, what can I learn here? What if I'm wrong? And don't just ask yourself these questions in your head. Really listen to what the other person has to say. Allow yourself to be open to new ideas, even if they challenge what you believe. It takes humility to admit that you don't know everything, and that's how you become smarter. The more you listen, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the wiser you become. Because true intelligence is not about having all the answers. It's about knowing that you don't. It's about being willing to listen, to learn, and to grow from every experience, every conversation, and every mistake. That's how you move from being stuck in your own rigid perspective to becoming someone who can see the world with fresh eyes. It's a path that requires humility, openness, and a willingness to evolve. The foolish person insists on their own rightness, but the wise person knows that true growth happens when they embrace their own uncertainty. So, the next time you're in a conversation, remember that wisdom isn't about speaking the loudest. It's about being open to learning the most. 5. They chase attention, not improvement. In today's world, the desire for attention is everywhere. People are obsessed with getting likes, followers, and validation from others. It's like a constant race for approval, where the louder you are, the more you're seen. But here's the truth. When you live for applause, you're living for something shallow. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers, the views, the comments, the recognition, but that kind of attention doesn't feed you. It doesn't make you stronger or wiser. It's like a quick burst of energy that fades just as fast. A foolish person chases that instant gratification, performing their life for the world to see, hoping that by being noticed, they'll feel validated. But what they don't realize is that they've become prisoners to external validation. They're so focused on what others think of them that they forget to focus on what really matters, themselves. The Stoic doesn't seek that kind of attention. They live for improvement, for growth. They don't need the world's applause to feel good about their progress. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The approval of others gains you nothing." This is a powerful reminder that the pursuit of external recognition is a dead-end street. True strength doesn't need an audience. The Stoic strength comes from within, from doing what's right, from pursuing growth, even when no one is watching. The real reward comes not from being seen, but from knowing that you're improving, that you're becoming the best version of yourself, regardless of the recognition or lack thereof. The Stoic approach isn't about rejecting social connection or ignoring feedback. It's about understanding that validation is fleeting. What truly matters is internal growth. The Stoic doesn't need constant reassurance from others. They don't look for applause to feel worthy. They know that the real satisfaction comes from within, from the daily discipline of becoming the person they want to be. Their motivation doesn't depend on external sources. It comes from the work itself, from the effort put in, from the progress made, no matter how small. This is the mindset that leads to true fulfillment, because it's rooted in who you are, not in how others perceive you. So, the next time you're about to post something for attention, ask yourself, is this truly contributing to my growth, or am I just feeding my ego? Are you seeking applause to validate yourself, or are you focusing on the work that helps you improve, even if no one notices? It's a question worth reflecting on, because every time you make a choice to improve yourself, whether anyone sees it or not, you're building strength that can't be taken away. And that's the kind of strength that truly matters. It's easy to get caught up in the game of seeking external approval, but the Stoic knows that the only approval worth seeking is your own. When you do the work for the sake of doing the work, when you improve for yourself and not for others, that's when you start to unlock real power. Remember, true strength isn't about being seen. It's about becoming the person you want to be, regardless of anyone's opinion. So stop chasing attention and start chasing improvement. The rewards of growth are far more fulfilling than any number of likes or comments. The applause fades, but the progress you make within yourself is what lasts. And that's the kind of victory that matters most. 6. They repeat mistakes and call it experience. How many times have you heard someone say, "I've been through this before," as if the mere act of repeating the same mistake somehow makes them wiser? It's almost like they think that experience is about the number of times they've faced the same problem, but in reality, it's just stubbornness disguised as experience. We've all encountered people who stumble over the same obstacle again and again, yet refuse to acknowledge that they're stuck in a cycle. They mistake repetition for growth. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Real wisdom comes from learning from your mistakes, not from just repeating them over and over. It's easy to think that experience alone makes us wiser, but experience without reflection is nothing more than a string of failures. Seneca put it perfectly when he said, "To err is human, but to persist in error is foolish." He understood that making mistakes is part of being human. We all fall short sometimes, and we all fail at some point. But the key difference between a fool and a wise person is that the fool keeps making the same mistake, while the wise person learns from it and moves on. Mistakes aren't meant to be repeated, they're meant to be lessons. The real danger lies in the belief that simply going through the motions is enough. If we aren't taking the time to reflect and understand why something went wrong, we're only wasting time. We're not learning. We're just living the same day over and over. Stop repeating the same cycle. Start asking yourself, what can I learn from this? That simple question holds the key to breaking free from the loop of stubbornness. Instead of justifying your actions or blaming external factors, take a moment to reflect on what went wrong. What could you have done differently? How can you adjust your approach next time? When you start viewing your mistakes as opportunities for growth rather than failures to avoid, you shift your mindset completely. You stop being a prisoner to your past and begin shaping your future. Learning from your mistakes isn't always easy, and it requires a level of humility that many people avoid. It means letting go of your ego, admitting you were wrong, and accepting that the journey to improvement isn't linear. But in that acceptance lies true growth. You don't grow by pretending to be perfect or by repeating the same mistakes while hoping for a different outcome. You grow by examining what you did, understanding why it didn't work, and using that knowledge to move forward stronger, wiser, and more prepared. True wisdom isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about acknowledging them, owning them, and using them to fuel your next step. As we move through life, we'll all make mistakes. That's inevitable. But what we do with those mistakes is what separates the wise from the foolish. If we take the time to reflect, learn, and grow, we can turn every failure into a stepping stone. But if we continue to repeat the same patterns without changing, we'll only keep ourselves stuck. So, the next time you find yourself caught in a cycle of mistakes, stop and reflect. Ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me? What can I do differently to avoid making the same mistake again? The answers you find in those moments of reflection will be the key to breaking free from the past and moving forward with real growth. It's not about how many times you've failed, it's about how many times you've learned and adapted from those failures. Only then will you truly grow. 7. They confuse confidence with competence. Confidence is often seen as a valuable trait. We admire those who exude it, who walk into a room with their heads held high, sure of themselves. But there's a big difference between true confidence and the kind of arrogance that comes from a lack of self-awareness. A foolish person confuses the two. They think that being loud, certain, or forceful automatically makes them right. They confuse their certainty with skill, assuming that if they say something confidently enough, it must be true. But here's the thing. Confidence without competence is nothing more than arrogance. It's a hollow mask that hides the truth. True confidence doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't need to be shouted from the rooftops. The Stoics understood this principle deeply. They knew that real strength isn't about boasting or dominating conversations with loud opinions. It's about the quiet power of results. True confidence comes from competence, from the hard work you put in behind the scenes, away from the spotlight. It's the kind of confidence that's earned, not fabricated. And the more competent you become, the less you need to prove anything to anyone. Think about it. How often do we see people, especially in today's world, projecting confidence that doesn't match their actual abilities? You've probably encountered someone who speaks with so much certainty, but when you look closer, you realize they don't really know what they're talking about. They sound confident, but when it comes to delivering results, there's a noticeable gap. This isn't true confidence, it's a facade. True confidence doesn't need to be loud, it's quiet and powerful. It's the steady consistency of effort, the skills honed through dedication, the ability to walk the talk without feeling the need to announce it. The truth is, competence doesn't require validation. It's visible in the results. The work you put in, the progress you make, the impact you have, these speak for themselves. You don't need to convince others of your abilities. If you're truly competent, your actions will show it. Confidence built on real ability doesn't need to shout for attention. It's clear in the work you produce, in the way you carry yourself, and in how you handle situations. It's a quiet strength that doesn't need to announce itself because it's already been proven. So, when you find yourself caught in that cycle of proving your worth to others, stop and reflect. Ask yourself, Are you confident because you've earned it, or just because you want others to believe you are? Are you speaking up to prove your intelligence, or are you speaking up because you have something valuable to contribute? It's easy to get swept up in the desire to be seen as competent, to wear confidence like a badge of honor, but true confidence isn't about showing off. It's about letting your actions speak for themselves. It's the ability to stand strong in your abilities without needing to boast. The foolish person lives in a constant state of needing to prove themselves, while the wise person lets their work do the talking. They know that confidence built on competence is unshakable, while confidence built on insecurity is fragile and temporary. True confidence is the result of the hard work you've put in, the lessons you've learned, and the growth you've experienced. It's quiet. It doesn't need to be validated by others because it's grounded in something real. So, stop chasing empty validation. Focus on becoming competent and let your confidence follow naturally. 8. They think loud opinions mean strength. A foolish person believes that loud opinions equal strength. They think that by raising their voice, by dominating a conversation, they can assert control, make themselves heard, and impose their will on others. They mistake volume for power, thinking that the louder they speak, the more authority they command. But here's the truth. True strength doesn't shout. It stays calm, composed, and unshaken. The Stoics knew this well. They understood that self-control is the highest form of power. When you react quickly, driven by emotion, you lose control. You hand over your power to whatever triggered you. But when you stay calm, when you remain in control of yourself, you hold the true power. The strength to remain composed in moments of conflict is where the real victory lies. Consider how often we see people in heated discussions, raising their voices to make their point, trying to overwhelm others with sheer force of words. It's as if the louder they shout, the more right they must be. But this is a trick. It's not strength, it's insecurity masquerading as confidence. The louder they speak, the less they listen, and in doing so, they fail to truly connect or communicate. The truly strong person doesn't need to shout to be heard. They speak with intention, with clarity, and with purpose. When they speak, their words are measured, deliberate, and impactful. They don't waste energy trying to dominate the room. They simply say what needs to be said and let it stand on its own. Think about the last time you were in a heated conversation or an argument. Perhaps someone said something that upset you, and your first instinct was to respond immediately, to defend your position, to prove that you were right. In that moment, you may have felt powerful, but did you actually gain anything? Did your loud reaction change the situation, or did it escalate it? In contrast, imagine if you had remained calm, collected, and unshaken. When you stop yourself from reacting immediately, you take a step back and regain control. You have the space to think clearly and respond from a place of purpose, not emotion. This is where true strength lies, in the ability to choose how you respond, no matter what others say or do. Next time you feel the urge to argue, to raise your voice, to assert control with volume, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is raising my voice really going to bring me closer to my goal? Is this reaction helping me, or is it just feeding my ego? True strength isn't about winning a conversation or dominating the room. It's about remaining composed, staying calm under pressure, and responding in a way that reflects your true power. When you master this, you no longer need to shout to be heard. You simply speak, and people listen. In our world, where loudness and bravado are often mistaken for strength, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the louder you are, the stronger you become. But this couldn't be further from the truth. The strongest people in any room are often the ones who speak the least but have the most impact. They've mastered the art of silence, the power of stillness, and the control of their own emotions. And when they do speak, their words are measured, thoughtful, and powerful. They don't need to shout. They've already won the room with their presence, their calm, and their wisdom. So, remember this. The next time you're faced with conflict or disagreement, don't rush to raise your voice. Don't let the noise of the world dictate your actions. Take a step back, breathe, and respond with intention. True strength is not in how loud you speak, but in how calm you remain. The more you practice this, the more you'll see how powerful silence can be, and how much stronger you become in the moments when you choose to remain unshaken. 9. They don't think before they speak. Words are powerful. They can build relationships, create opportunities, and inspire change. But they can also destroy, hurt, and leave scars that last far longer than the moment. Yet a foolish person speaks without thinking. They let their words spill out without considering the consequences. They speak impulsively, as if the first thought that comes to their mind must be expressed immediately. But here's the truth. Once words are spoken, they can't be taken back. You can apologize, but the damage is done. And the more you speak without thinking, the more you risk saying things you don't mean, causing harm you didn't intend, or losing control of a conversation. The Stoics knew this all too well. They understood that silence wasn't just a lack of words, it was an active choice. Silence is where wisdom gathers. It's the space between thought and action, the pause that gives us time to reflect, to consider our words, and to choose the right ones. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In other words, the things you say reflect what's going on inside you. When you speak without thought, you reveal your lack of control, your carelessness, and your inability to truly engage with the moment. Think about how often we've said things in the heat of the moment, only to regret them later. Maybe it was a snarky comment, a hasty judgment, or an argument that escalated because we spoke too quickly. The problem isn't just what we say, it's how we say it, and when we say it. Words are the product of our thoughts, and when our thoughts are rushed, our words become reckless. But if we learn to slow down, to pause before responding, we give ourselves the chance to speak with intention, to choose our words wisely, and to communicate with purpose. Silence isn't the absence of words, it's the presence of reflection. It's the moment where we stop and ask ourselves, what do I want to say? What do I want to achieve with this conversation? How do I want this person to feel after we speak? When we take the time to think before we speak, we align our words with our intentions. We become more thoughtful, more deliberate, and ultimately more effective in how we communicate. In a world where everyone seems to be in a hurry to talk, to be heard, to say the next thing before the other person has finished, silence becomes a rare commodity. But this is exactly why it's so powerful. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in the ability to remain calm and composed, even when the world around us is chaotic. The ability to speak only when it serves us, when it serves the conversation, and when it serves our truth is a mark of true wisdom. We've all been guilty of speaking too quickly, of letting our thoughts spill out in the moment without considering the consequences. But here's the truth. The more you speak without thinking, the more you erode your own credibility. The more you let your words fly without purpose, the more you risk losing the respect of others, or worse, damaging relationships. But when you learn to speak with intention, when you use your words thoughtfully, you build a reputation for being someone who is wise, measured, and trustworthy. So the next time you find yourself about to speak, pause. Give yourself a moment to think. Ask yourself, is this really worth saying? Is this the right time to say it? What do I hope to achieve with these words? In that moment of silence, you'll find clarity. You'll find the wisdom to choose the right words, to communicate with purpose, and to build stronger connections with those around you. Silence is not weakness. It's the foundation of strength. Don't waste it. Use it to your advantage and speak only when your words will add value to the conversation. Because in the end, it's not about how much you say, it's about how carefully and intentionally you choose to say it. 10. They don't own their decisions. A foolish person never wants to own their decisions. They dodge responsibility at every turn, constantly making excuses to justify their actions. When things go wrong, they point fingers, look for someone or something to blame, and pretend they had no control over the outcome. It's an easy escape, but it's also a trap, because by refusing to take responsibility, they give away their power. They stay stuck in the same place, unable to change, unable to grow. The reality is, true power doesn't come from avoiding responsibility. It comes from owning it. Whether the decision was good or bad, whether the outcome was what you expected or not, accepting responsibility is the key to personal growth. The Stoics understood this principle deeply. They didn't sugarcoat the harsh realities of life, nor did they hide behind excuses. They taught that our power lies not in what happens to us, but in how we choose to respond to it. Things won't always go your way. Life is full of setbacks, obstacles, and moments that test your character. But how you respond to those moments determines who you become. It's easy to make excuses. It's easy to blame someone else for your shortcomings, or to tell yourself that you had no choice. But in doing so, you surrender your ability to change. The more you justify your mistakes, the more you stay stuck in the same patterns. Instead of growing, you repeat the same mistakes, only to find yourself facing the same challenges again and again. However, when you own your decisions, good and bad, you open the door to growth. You allow yourself to learn from your mistakes and make the changes necessary to avoid repeating them. Owning your decisions is the foundation of self-improvement. It's not about being perfect. We all make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes have consequences. But the key to growth is acknowledging them and using them as opportunities for learning. When you own your decisions, you take responsibility for your actions, and with that responsibility comes the power to change. It's the realization that no one else is in control of your life but you. The world may throw obstacles in your path, but your response to those obstacles is yours to decide. And that decision can shape your future. So, start owning your choices. Stop looking for someone to blame. Even when things don't go the way you planned, don't retreat into excuses. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do differently? How can I improve from here? Every time you take ownership, you strengthen your ability to act, to make better decisions, and to create the life you want. The Stoics taught us that our strength lies in our ability to respond, not in the circumstances themselves. When you stop running from responsibility and start facing it head-on, you unlock a level of power and control over your life that nothing else can give you. Remember, life isn't about avoiding mistakes, it's about learning from them. The more you own your decisions, the more you empower yourself to grow. And that growth is the path to real success, real strength, and true freedom. 11. They resist change. There's a common phrase people often use when they don't want to change. That's just who I am. It sounds harmless, even comforting, but in reality, it's a defense mechanism, a way to justify stubbornness and resist growth. A foolish person clings to this notion, refusing to adapt or evolve because they've convinced themselves that their current self is good enough. They wear their stubbornness as if it were a badge of authenticity, like they're being true to themselves. But the truth is, refusing to change isn't a sign of authenticity, it's a sign of limitation. Real strength lies in growth, in the willingness to challenge who we are and evolve into something better. The Stoics understood this concept deeply. They taught that we are constantly being sculpted by discipline or decay. Every day presents an opportunity to improve, to shed old habits that no longer serve us, and to step into a better version of ourselves. Change isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. In fact, if you're not changing, you're stagnating. The Stoics believed that our ultimate goal is to align with nature, to keep growing, and to face life's challenges with resilience and adaptability. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This idea encapsulates the Stoic view that obstacles aren't things to avoid, but opportunities for growth. The path to becoming better lies not in resisting change, but in embracing it and using it to shape our character. Real growth requires us to look beyond our comfort zones, beyond who we think we are, and challenge ourselves to become more. It means letting go of outdated beliefs, breaking free from habits that keep us stuck, and confronting the parts of ourselves that we've ignored or rejected. Change is hard. It forces us to face our insecurities, our fears, and our weaknesses. But it's also the only way to move forward. Without change, we remain trapped in the same patterns, repeating the same mistakes, and never reaching our true potential. The Stoics understood that we are constantly shaping ourselves, and that every moment is an opportunity to choose discipline over decay, to embrace growth over stagnation. The key to personal growth is not just acknowledging that change is necessary, but actively seeking it out. Change isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we choose. It's about challenging yourself to step out of your comfort zone, to push through the resistance, and to embrace the discomfort that comes with evolving. The most powerful people are not those who avoid change, but those who seek it out, who are constantly striving to become better versions of themselves. They don't let their past define them. They use it as a springboard for future growth. The next time you find yourself saying, "That's just who I am," pause and ask yourself, is this the best version of me? Is this who I want to be for the rest of my life? Growth doesn't happen by staying the same. It happens when you're willing to face your limitations, to challenge your assumptions, and to adapt to new circumstances. It's about taking the lessons from your past and using them to propel you forward, not letting them trap you in a cycle of stagnation. So don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to break free from old habits that no longer serve you. Embrace the process of becoming better, of evolving into the person you know you can be. The Stoics knew that true strength doesn't come from staying the same. It comes from evolving, from meeting challenges head-on, and from constantly striving to improve. Every day is an opportunity to become better. Don't waste it. Change is not your enemy, it's your ally in the pursuit of greatness. 12. They don't learn from feedback. A foolish person cannot handle feedback. The moment someone offers them constructive criticism, they close up. They get defensive, dismiss it, or even refuse to acknowledge it altogether. It's as if the idea of being corrected challenges their entire identity. But here's the truth. Feedback is not a threat, it's a gift. Every piece of constructive criticism is an opportunity to improve, to see ourselves from a different perspective, and to grow. Without feedback, we're blind to our own flaws, and without self-awareness, growth becomes impossible. A foolish person rejects it, but a wise person seeks it. They understand that correction isn't a sign of weakness, but a path toward becoming stronger, smarter, and more capable. When you fear feedback, you're not protecting your ego, you're limiting your potential. The Stoics understood this better than most. They were masters of self-reflection, always looking inward to examine their thoughts, actions, and behaviors. They welcomed criticism because they recognized it as an essential tool for growth. For them, facing feedback wasn't a source of shame, it was a source of strength. As Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that they are difficult." The Stoics saw every piece of feedback, whether positive or negative, as a challenge to improve themselves. They knew that it wasn't about defending their pride, it was about becoming better, and this mindset made them resilient in the face of adversity. Instead of retreating from challenges, they leaned into them, knowing that through struggle comes strength. In contrast, when you refuse to learn from feedback, you're rejecting the very thing that helps you evolve. Imagine if every time you received criticism, you responded with gratitude instead of defensiveness. What if, instead of feeling attacked, you saw it as a mirror reflecting areas where you could grow? The truth is, feedback allows us to see beyond our own limitations, to see where we're blind, and to course correct before we make the same mistakes again. It's a chance to sharpen our skills, refine our approach, and transform ourselves into more capable individuals. Think about the last time someone offered you feedback. How did you react? Did you become defensive, or did you take a moment to absorb what they were saying? It's normal to feel uncomfortable when someone points out something we could do better, but this discomfort is part of the process of growth. When we push through that discomfort, we come out on the other side stronger and more self-aware. If you're willing to accept that you don't have all the answers, that you're not perfect, and that there's always room to grow, feedback becomes a powerful tool for self-improvement. The wise person doesn't see correction as a judgment. They see it as an opportunity. It's a way of turning an external perspective into a means of personal growth. Constructive criticism, when embraced, helps you refine your thinking, improve your actions, and get closer to being the person you want to be. It's not an attack, it's an invitation to grow. Every time you reject feedback, you're rejecting your potential to become better. But every time you embrace it, you move one step closer to becoming the best version of yourself. In a world where we're constantly exposed to opinions and judgments, the real skill lies in being able to discern what's helpful, what's not, and how to use feedback to our advantage. It's easy to be defensive, to protect our ego, but that only keeps us stuck. The Stoics taught that the key to true wisdom is in our ability to adapt, to grow, and to learn from every situation. They didn't shy away from criticism, they welcomed it. They understood that every piece of feedback, whether good or bad, could help them refine their character and decision-making. So, the next time someone gives you feedback, don't push it away. Don't make excuses or dismiss it. Embrace it. See it as an opportunity to improve. It might sting in the moment, but it's the only way to grow. Every person who offers you feedback is giving you a chance to become better. Every time you let go of your defensiveness and accept criticism, you strengthen your ability to adapt, evolve, and succeed. The Stoics knew that feedback was one of the most powerful tools for personal growth. If we want to live like them, we must learn to embrace it as well. Because in the end, growth is about more than just being right. It's about becoming better. Remember, growth doesn't come from avoiding discomfort. It comes from embracing it, learning from it, and evolving because of it. The more we welcome feedback, the more we build the strength to improve ourselves. So, take responsibility for your choices, embrace the challenges that come your way, and never stop striving to become better. Thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal. If this resonated with you, check out one of the suggested videos on the screen and continue your journey of self-growth. Stay strong, stay mindful, and keep pushing forward.